big round of applause for all our panelists here. Thank you so much for taking out your time and for joining us today. I'm looking forward to a very fruitful discussion and a lot of collaboration because that's what the future of infrastructure is. Indeed, it is built on collaboration and innovation. Now, this panel discussion brings together industry leaders, and we will be exploring how technology is bridging the gap between design and construction, optimizing project life cycles, and ensuring a sustainable future for Indian infrastructure. And please join us for insights and an insight into best practices as well. Now, I know there's a lot of jargon involved in infrastructure. We're all industry insiders here. But I want to start off actually with a leaf from the panel before, which was AI. You know, I would also love to know from all our panelists today, how exactly are you using AI to make your lives easier? And actually, on your wish list, is there a task that you wish that AI could do to make your job easier? Sir, would you like to start it off?
Hello. Yeah. So I'm a structural engineer. So previously, one of the gentlemen have told very right that AI or all the technologies will do their job, but it's very important for an engineer to check, validate whether that job done by the technology is correct. Because after all, it's a software. If you have wrong input, you will get a wrong output. So yeah, we are using AI, but not that extensively. The reason is it's all about awareness. The team needs to get aware about that, and the important is the results out there. So engineering, and I'm say the structural engineering, it's very I can say a sensitive matter. If you have any small mistake, it will take a lot of time to figure it out where it has been. So, but I could see that AI, so I believe that AI I can use as a tool, which I am using, to ease my repetitive tasks and in bits and pieces. But I see going forward in future that it will play a very big role in the structural engineering.
Well, yes, indeed, from structural engineering to prompt engineering, now we all need to be masters of everything. Absolutely. So, would love to have your inputs on this.
Yeah, basically, I come from construction industry. Presently, I am with the developer of ports, and so more to say, we try to use AI for our execution of the projects because I take care of engineering and projects. So, in particularly planning of our activities, say scheduling. There we use there we use AI to ensure that the schedules are made efficiently and there are no delays which occur there. And AI also we use for safety because it also has a very important role. So even in our locations, port operations, we use AI as a tool, which we have seen very good results as far as safety is concerned. So, but of course, having said that, still a lot of work has to be done on this. We are still taking baby steps, I would say, in India on this particular front. Thank you.
Well, earlier AI was an option, but now if you're not using it, you're getting left behind. In fact, I would also love to know from our audience, because everyone's from the infra industry or an infra adjacent industry, how many of us are using AI in our daily professional lives? With a show of hands, please. In the front, okay, I'm seeing more hands go up, 30% mix, and I think the rest are just reluctant to show us. But yes, I think everybody is using it either in their workflows or beta testing it indeed. So would love to know, and also not just how you're using it, but if there's a wish list that you have where you want AI to be your genie, what would you want it to do?
We are primarily the program managers and also the technology solution providers. So nevertheless, we use AI. What is important, I would like to always advocate is that technology is always a means to an end and it's not an end in itself. So I think that's something we should not forget. I think AI has been marvelous and it has made a lot of our lives easy, especially when we are delivering solutions to our customers in large infrastructure projects, in asset health monitoring, and we are also involved in construction process re-engineering and also bringing the efficiency. So we are definitely adopting AI wherever we can, and then we are trying to champion that. But I think I would re-emphasize on the point that it's not an end. So we have a tag within our organization which actually says like artificial intelligence with human innovation. So I think we can't eliminate the role of a human even with AI coming in place. So having said that, talking about what AI fantasy that we actually have is that ideally we would like to look forward to a day where we would be able to eliminate human interference in the toughest conditions of work. So especially when mining projects that we are seeing, or even in the construction space where there is a lot of, they are exposed to a lot of dust and those kind of things. So if you are able to start using AI and robotics at those places, that would be the day I would like to look forward to.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
AI for the betterment and for the safety of
Yes.
all the workers would be
Yes,
ideal.
yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
So thank you for sharing that with us. Sure, go ahead, sir.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. So we say AI is future, but I see that it's present now. There is no future. It's present. So coming from design background and working in real estate, there are many things we can do with it. We are exploring that how best we can leverage it, right? So in design, we have been seeing that parametric design or generative design, where it helps in certain way, but if come back to real estate, we are working on standardization on many fronts to ease our work in terms of time or in terms of efficiency, and even the kind of the stringent most is the cost, right? So how we can best implement that on all these three fronts. So not excessively working on implementing it, but we have started asking the right question, because AI, what we say that your input has to be perfect for your expected output. So what to ask, the question has to be correct, right? So we are at that stage, but definitely that has to be the way.
Absolutely. If you ask the right question, you can have the world. Well put, sir. And Mr. Bonifay, how are you using AI, or how would you like to tap into AI?
Well, at Bluebeam, we're proud to build AI features into our products that help save time. We're looking, first and foremost, to be very pragmatic in our AI approach. We're doing basic things like automatic title block recognition, automatic alignment of sheets in your drawing sets. And then these are things that, they're little things, but they add up to lots and lots of time savings. So it's 2 or 3 minute tasks you perform that get reduced to 5-10 second tasks. And these get done thousands of times throughout the course of a project. And it allows professionals like you all to focus on, working on the higher value adds in those projects.
Absolutely. Automate the repetitive processes, and that's what AI is best at. I'm staying with you, sir, at Bluebeam. How are you using technology to help streamline collaboration between designers, engineers, and contractors?
Yeah, sure. We use technology to help identify and help resolve issues faster through a collaboration process. That's the short answer. The more complicated answer is that projects are becoming more complicated than ever. There's more disciplines involved. If we think about 30 years ago, typically lighting was done by an electrical contractor. There were simple mechanical switches. There were a choice between fluorescent and incandescent light bulbs, and that was about it. Now we're dealing with special audiovisual. We're dealing with yet another domain, another set of expertise, and that's just one example out of hundreds of them. So projects involve many more professionals than they ever have in the past. They involve many more options. and each of those areas of expertise and domains are more complicated. This work has to be done many times in isolation of other streams of work for the first phases. It's when you start bringing those pieces of work together out of the design phase to where you start having to overcome obstacles and issues that you find. Our technology at Bluebeam helps expedite that, and it provides a collaborative environment to identify those issues and help resolve and clear those issues in an expeditious way.
Thank you so much. And while you were speaking, it just occurred to me that earlier we just needed security in the physical level, and now we need it at the virtual level as well, at the design stage. So absolutely, while technology definitely makes our lives easier, it does add to the number of considerations. So thank you for giving us that insight right at the onset. Now, Mr. Donga, at Mahindra Lifespaces, how are you leveraging technology to prioritize safety considerations throughout the entire building life cycle, from design to construction and beyond?
Yes, so in real estate, like any other project, basic consideration is like people, project, and environment, like sustainability. So those three are the prime focus when we design or execute any project. So people is in the center in terms of safety, where we see the functionality aspect of it. When it comes to building, we see the engineering or the technology aspect of it. It has to be taken care, and definitely environment. As a group also, we have that initiative that by 2030, we want to be carbon neutral in all our development. So people, project, and environment, those three things are the prime, I would say, the parameters we focus in all the stages of the project. So lastly, so like definitely the cloud documentation has been the one thing which has helped us have the common tool where everybody has access to all the documents, all the parameters which we are following. And the BEAM, which is, we have kind of started working on that for our last few projects, which gives us that clarity collectively. So it's a collaborative tool, right? So earlier, only the architects visualizes, designs, and then the engineering follows, and then the construction follows. But this tools gives us that platform, that collective visualization happens. There is no kind of gray area in between designer to engineering, engineers to contractors. So that tool gives us that comfort and clarity that the safety in design, following all the engineering standards, that check happens real time. And the same thing goes on site with our projects team and the contractors. So they also have the equal clarity on what they are building on. So that gives us that edge, what I would say, that which, though we have started slow, very lately on this model, but I think now 2-dimension to 3-dimension to the other aspects of 4th, 5th on time, cost, quantification, and documentation, all of it will follow. So that's how we have been doing it.
So it is interesting how you tell us about technology breaking down data silos and giving us a unified view. If you could tell us with an example, like how perhaps earlier it was all in isolation and how technology actually made it collaborative.
So as processor, like all my colleagues here in this field, be it real estate or any other project type. So conventionally, architects designs it, then it goes to structure engineers, MEP engineers, and all other subject matter experts. So now, as we are explaining, that we have many more subject matter experts kind of involved in the projects, like lighting designers, sports consultants, landscape architects, and many more such experts are there. So it was more of sequential earlier, and then coming back, and then the recheck happening. So that real time was missing. And there was a gap when, if the communication is not robust or clear, you may miss important aspect, which the safety is one of the key parameter which everybody follows, definitely. So there is no space now where it can fall, right? It's real time. And everybody is, I think the panel earlier was discussing that the open model where everybody has access and the real-time changes we can follow. And we have the documentation also with us that what has happened in near past or in kind of earlier in the project. So course correction, if anything which we come across, even at any stage, be it tender stage, be it at the start of construction or midway of construction, we have that thing to correct before it goes to the actual user.
Thank you for elaborating on that, sir. It really did help us understand the entire process better. And I speak for myself at least. Now I'm not going to go in order. I'm going to jump to this end of our panel. Considering the increasing concerns about climate change, what specific design considerations do you think will be most crucial for future infrastructure projects in India to be more climate resilient?
Yeah, so thank you for this question. It's a very important and a crucial question nowadays. So I see the biggest climatic concerns are like the heat, the very frequent cyclones which we have been experiencing, the earthquakes. So, just a small stat, I may be wrong, but, since 1950 to 2000, or 2022, in the North Belt, maybe you consider Delhi, we have experienced around 72 earthquakes. Might be minors, which may not have that impact, or people have felt that. And out of this 72, 50 were between 2000 to 2022. So that's how the things are getting changed. So I believe that we should move ahead for performance-based design with respect to the wind, with respect to seismic, and our codes and standards are also getting evolved around this. So soon we will be seeing that most of our design codes will be based on the performance-based. And also, on the climate resilience, when you say, what I would like to add, with respect to the discussions which we are, having around on the technology and other things. So how other discipline could also help in the client. So one of the other thing which the client impact or climatic impact we see is the heat. Okay, so we have a lot of tall structures, high-rise structures now coming up with other cities as well. So we can definitely look for some innovative facade designs as we go up, where we have different wind speeds. We can also learn from our ancient techniques, where how the ancient architects used to deal with the heats. So like, we can learn from the ancient architects, like having the high ceiling heights, or maybe more natural ventilations, or having a jali type facades and all. So here, as been rightly said by many panelists and the other colleagues here, that the AI, the other technologies, working all the disciplines together will really help that how the things is shaping up, right? So client is there to give his brief, what he wants, but it's ultimately then comes to all of us, architects, engineers, to work not in tandem, but together to, bring his dream or his aspirations in reality. And it is very, very important that everybody has to work together. So with this, I would also emphasize that the BEAM will help in this. So at the day one, from the concept stage, we should engage the contractors, the construction engineers, because not always all things which are doable on paper are doable at site. So that is more important to understand from their aspect. Sometimes it happens that things look very simple in the design, but it becomes very difficult. And if you are asked to address at the time of execution, then it is a kind of big problem where you have to redo many things, and all the other disciplines also get affected.
Absolutely. And just while you were speaking, it occurred to me that the most resilient structures that we have are the oldest. So going into the future, we must take lessons from the past. Speaking of climate resilience, I feel that our other panelists also would definitely have some valuable inputs. Would anyone else like to share their thoughts about how we can make our structures future-proof?
Just one point I would like to share. See, the climate responsive design is the key for it, and all architect friends here and engineers, we work towards is that the buildings are climate responsive, right? And that too local climate. So at Mahindra, we have tied with TERI. So we have Mahindra TERI Center in Delhi. So we have taken up different programs which helps us collecting the data and how we can have solution for our context. So many of the researches and the papers available or the studies available is more generic and more from the Western or the other countries, and we have adapted it. So like one of the example is we have started 3 years back on the sky modeling. So that gives us the sky exposure study for us. So we have one study going on in Delhi and one in Chennai. Likewise, we are going to introduce 2 or 3 more cities. So we'll have actual data of our cities. Right now, for climate responsive design, we are using like these studies done in other countries and we are adapting it. But this would be for that particular city, for that region. So that would be more correct or more appropriate for our solution.
Thank you, sir, for sharing that with us, because localized data is of utmost importance. And like you said, generic studies cannot be applied here blindly. Now I'd like to go across to Mr. Chunduru. Sir, how can digital tools and methodologies be used to ensure sustainable practices are integrated into design and construction in our country?
I think one of the most important things I see is if you are, of course, in the conversations also, we are restricting ourselves only to the asset creation. What is important is we need to also make sure that we are talking of the asset life cycle approach, right? When you put the asset into operation, that's when the reality comes out about what the designer has done versus what contractor has done and what. So I think that's very important aspect that we need to look at is a total cycle, life cycle approach is very important. The second important thing what we have started practicing is about in the material choice, we realize that having material passports, like it's a very interesting concept where you have a digital log of all the materials. And then through the life cycle, you actually start tracking. So it gives you a lot of data points as to how it actually, how the materials are actually performing, and then that data is plowed back to as a feedback to people. So that's very interesting experiments which has happened. The other important part is about if you are able to bring in accountability into the system, that also makes sure that everybody is equally accountable for the outcomes that are actually happening. Like one of the important examples I can share with you is like if you start bringing the product as a service. Like for example, in a building, if someone actually is delivering a component of a door as a component, and if he's willing to come forward and give it as a product, as a service, through the life commitment that he's giving, and he takes the returns back over a period of the life cycle of the asset, right? So it's very difficult to digest with the industry. So, but I think somewhere we need to start bringing in the accountability into the system.
So would you say like basically in layman's terms, like warranty and guarantee for each and every part?
Correct. It's just a warranty and guarantee, but his stakes are involved in the thing. So the compromises are actually minimum. And then everyone starts taking technology serious and the quality serious and also the end user requirement serious, right? So I think that's where the whole logic is. I think with these points, I feel that's how we are actually able to make sure that the end outcomes are achieved.
Micro responsibility is so interesting because actually the sum is greater than the parts, but when you break it down, it really needs to be accountable at each level.
Correct.
So very well put, sir. Now I'd like to go across to Mr. Sisodia. Sir, the word in Mumbai that everybody is plagued by is redevelopment, but that's the only way development now and expansion can happen in the city, right? So, in a city like Mumbai, where it is key, what factors need to be considered when it comes to integrating design and construction processes?
Yeah, whenever if you are taking any development projects, particularly in city like Mumbai, Delhi, which are already heavily congested, so from design itself, you have to see that what sort of structures you are planning, which will create minimum inconvenience to the citizens who are staying there. So what you can do is, one is you can have stakeholder meetings with the citizens of that area and adopt technologies which are in such a manner that they create minimum inconvenience to them. So I will just give an example. Recently, there was a coastal road which was constructed. If you see, they have gone with a tunnel arrangement for that. So once a tunnel work starts, only in the beginning the citizens will have inconvenience when the mouth of the tunnel is arrangement is prepared for putting the tunnel boring machine. But once it is placed in position, then afterwards it effortlessly it goes without disturbing the local citizen. So that type of structure should be planned. And secondly, at the same time, when you are doing piling, when you can adopt methods which don't make much of noise. One is you can go with open foundation instead of deep piling, which make when the equipments make a lot of noise. So those things can be looked into. And I was hearing to other panelists, they also suggested that a lot of work can be done off-site. Say a lot of precasting can be planned. So you make the precast elements ready and bring it there to the location, which is close to the place where citizens are already staying. So that is something which can be planned, so which will not disturb them much. So these sensitivities are to be considered, and so of course these are the main things which needs to be seen and considered. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mr. Agrawal, would you also want to comment on redevelopment and factors that you have seen are pretty vital?
Yeah, so Mumbai is already, I can say, saturated, the core area or the town areas. And the present structures are very old, and it's actually the time that they needs to get redeveloped. Not only because there is now additional FSI available and there is a sales component attached to it, but also it is important that the safety and the life of the residents which are there. Because as we rightly said by one of my colleague here, that we always talk about constructing new, and especially the structures, I mean the building part, they are not looked at once they are constructed. So we are doing all sorts of maintenance for all the interior things. We will be painting and all these things, but we are really not doing a maintenance of a structure. And that's why it becomes important that over a period of time like 30 years, 40 years, when the structures are too much deteriorated, it's time to redevelop that.
Absolutely.
And the challenges on redevelopments are extreme in Mumbai because of the logistics and all others issues. And here the technology and the beam comes into picture, to help very efficient redevelopment of projects.
Right. Thank you so much for your input, Mr. Agrawal. Now, as my closing question to all our panelists here, because we're absolutely running out of time, if you could tell me one trend in infrastructure that you are bullish on, a new trend that you see emerging, that you believe is going to make a big impact in the future, maybe in a sentence or two, starting with Mr. Bonifay.
Yeah, I think tied back to the earlier comments, we're seeing projects become more complex than ever. And so anything that we can do to save time and to collaborate better and to have less overlap. and really is what we're seeing at Bluebeam.
All right. Thank you so much for that.
So I think continuing to this, the same point, so though it's not new, but it's like every time we get into the large infrastructure development and in the developing country like us is the modularity. So that gives us the economy of scale and definitely saves a lot of time. We can run so many parallel activities while you are preparing your site, your components are getting ready. So modularity, precast, and other stuff. So I think that's what I see that is not emerging per se, it is already there. In many countries, we have seen that as a successful implementation. But for us, definitely, that's the way I see.
All right. Adding that to the list.
I think one of the important thing I'm bullish about is the digital twin technology that is actually coming up and shaping very well. And that's one thing what I'm actually realizing is that digital twin not only makes it real time, but also brings in collaboration between different stakeholders. And not only the civil infrastructure, civil with electrical, electrical with plumbing, plumbing with technology or systems part, all those things are actually coming seamlessly shaped into one single framework. And then when real-time data feeds in, how it actually evolves and how it performs. I think I'm very bullish about digital twin. I'm very excited about seeing how it's going to shape up. Yeah, thank you.
We're also very enthusiastic to see your passion about it. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, we all know that there is going to be tremendous development as far as infrastructure is concerned. And presently, for sure, we are not prepared for that. As Dr. Swarup also mentioned, there is a huge shortage of the skilled workers, even the engineers. So unless and until there is something differently being done, like AI or something new, we are not going to be able to cope up with the development what India is going to see. So I'm very bullish that new technologies which are being brought up, and honestly speaking, BIM I had tried out in one of my projects, but I had to abort it at one location because we could not move. So I'm really looking forward. In my present portfolio also, I'm working to ensure that I am able to implement BIM. And I hope that I get dedicated, passionate engineers who can work on that. So I look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for deriving from your experience to give us that answer. And Mr. Agrawal, please go.
Yeah. So what I see, I may not call it as bullish, but I may see that the coming is the integration between the experienced old school engineering and the new engineers which are completely software driven. So the integration between two and the collaborative design, I can call it as a collaborative design, that all the disciplines, different experts working at the same time. So the real-time design, I would say, as I mentioned earlier, that performance-based thing. So performance-based is not only limited to structures, but then it will become a performance-based in every discipline by leveraging AI, BIM, and all other softwares, which gives you a real-time experience about how the design will look like and how the design will perform.
So collaboration, adoption, and innovation have been the mainstays of our discussion today. And it's been very aptly collaborative by all our panelists. So big round of applause yet again for one of them. Thank you so much for joining us today.